Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry, I know everybody's tired. It's the end of the day. It's a little thinner in here. But I'm Heather Agler. I'm from the FDA Center for Devices Radiological Health, and I'm a senior science health advisor for our Division of All Hazards Preparedness and Response. But probably most importantly, the reason I'm involved here is because I am in a position where I lead our medical countermeasures innovation program. And what I do is I work with agencies and the companies that they're supporting to help with new medical device development that is focused on medical countermeasures and devices to help the warfighter. And so in that, closed loop control and autonomous systems is a huge priority. And so we've been working with different groups over time in this area. And even before this position, I was working on interoperability, and that's how I originally met Julian and Sandy, even though we were at the same center, and got involved in this. So this is something that's very important to us. And I think in joining this collaborative community, that's why we're focused here. So let's go ahead and get started. I know that my colleague Linda talked about our CDRH with our mission of our center and went through the different bullet points I have here. And when we're talking about innovation and supporting innovation, I think if just even looking at our shared values, you need every single one of those to create new innovative products. You know, there needs to be a focus on public health. Our decisions have got to be science-based or we will have no credibility. Our people are very important. We need to have good people who are reasonable. And I'm sure people have different stories about maybe when they weren't. but we try to keep a level playing field. Innovation is incredibly important to us. And sometimes that seems like an oxymoron because we're the regulators, but we want to support innovation. And the whole point is to try and find a middle ground where we can be reasonable. We need our decisions to be transparent and they need honest and integrity behind them. And there should be accountability as well. So we already talked a little bit about the collaborative community. Julian went through a lot of it. And really the point behind the collaborative community is like, because we are federal government, we have to avoid fuck-up. So basically we have to avoid the appearance of having an advisory committee, because if we have an advisory committee, there's a certain process that we have to follow, and we have those set within CDRH. So this is different. This is a community where we can come together to talk about an issue, a public health issue that's very important to us, to see if we can share information among the community to advance this particular cause. And as you see here, this collaborative community construct, we really put it out there just to, like I said, set those rules to let everybody know the types of organizations we can be involved with. And so far, we do have 17 collaborative communities, of course, with smart and autonomous medical systems being the latest. And, you know, we had to make our case internally. So what is that public health issue? And really, COVID-19 really demonstrated the need to develop smart and autonomous medical systems. You know, we talk about that resource limited model where you don't have enough caregivers. And one of the biggest things when we talked about ventilators is there are not enough respiratory therapists to run those ventilators, even though we were producing many, many more for the SNS. And so, incorporating things like closed loop control of ventilation has the potential for reducing the number of healthcare workers taking care of those patients. And I think that's why we're all here. You know, we all know that having automation would streamline routine tasks, reduce error, and this is really what we're all coming here together for today. The benefits of the SaAMS collaborative community, the way I look at it here is that we have been having one-off conversations with different groups within the military, BARDA, all over the place, different companies. And the idea to see so many faces here that I already know, that we've talked to, that we're all coming together talking about the same topic is really encouraging to me. I'm hoping that we can produce information to set that level playing field that gives every company that information to go ahead to be able to produce the devices that are needed. So as my colleague Linda, again, she had talked about some of the work that we had done in the past, but really we've been dabbling in little areas through the FDA that when you bring them together, they're all very important in what we're doing. So the closed loop control, we had our workshop, which led to the guidance document, which was finalized this past fall. You know, we've been involved with TATRIC, with Netson, that has been talked about at this meeting today. officer-enabled research with automated critical care system. We've been talking about closed loop control for a very long time with different groups. And so again, very excited to sort of be here and to see those people here today so that we can move forward. We also talked about, our AI policy comes into play, cybersecurity. There are so many different things that we have going on. And our role here is to sort of coordinate from an FDA perspective, and convey those policies to you and help clarify any confusion that there might be going forward. So, as it's the end of the day, so, what have we discussed today? So we really talked about sort of the foundation. What have we had here? What are we building on? And certainly the medical device plug and play is part of that. There's also been lots of standards work that's been going on for many, many years. I remember when we were doing a landscape of the standards, it's like, well, there are standards, so everything should be interoperable, right? And it's like, well, they sort of cover this part and this part and this part, but there's about 80% that isn't standardized. So, there's still need for development. The challenges that we have, and one, determining appropriate testing. We talked about test beds, how do we test these systems so that they're acceptable, so that you can have the assurance that they are safe and they're going to be effective. And then when they come to the FDA, they can get through the process to be available on the market. Again, so challenges, regulatory concerns, of course, we all have them. And adoption, is this going to be so complicated and so expensive? It's hard for hospitals. When we talk about helping people in rural America have access and being able to help them take care of patients, are they going to be able to afford them? So, these can be some of the challenges as well. Benefits, certainly the patient safety, reducing errors. I think we all see the value in that. And if we can, as we just talked about, monetize that to show the value in it, certainly if you give better care, you could make the argument that, maybe you can have better patient outcomes, which would save money to insurance companies as well. And the managing more patients when resources are constrained, and efficiency. And then our current tools, again, standards come up again, guidance documents, current technology that is already on the market, whether it's here in the United States or overseas. And then future systems. We saw that wonderful video from the DoD. Like, even though it was made 5 years ago, it's all still future systems. So it was a really wonderful video, but, trying to see what we can do with these autonomous applications, remote control medical devices. It's crazy that we're talking about something so simple, but it's actually a huge step. So, trying to get these different efforts move forward. And of course, physiological closed loop control, just developing more in this area as we go on. So then what is next? We're all here to talk about what's going on, but in the end, we want to produce something, right? We didn't come here and spend all this money to get involved just to listen to each other and applaud one another. We want to produce something in the end. And that's very important to us. We want to work products that will lead to transformative patient care solutions, and that's really important. One of the products could be, I just wanted to suggest this put up here. We have actually two types of tools that we produce. Medical device development tools is a program we have where you can produce a method, material measurement used to assess safety, effectiveness, or performance of a medical device. It is scientifically substantiated and can be qualified for use in device evaluation and to support a regulatory decision-making within a specified context of use. We have a link here for information about, this is something coming from the outside proposed as a medical device development tool. The ones that are approved are listed on the site. There's a guidance document that leads you through how you can do that. That's something that might come through this collaborative community. You can also work with us in our science and engineering labs with Sandy, where he is from, within our center, where they will do that work to help produce those tools internally. The difference there is they don't have to come in through the submission process to get that tool qualified. But while we're here, one of the things is, I'm not a guru on every single topic that's going on and leading into SaAMS collaborative community. And neither is Sandy, although sometimes maybe he's close. I don't know. More versed probably than me. But the whole point is we're here for different reasons. We are here because we are very much committed to this area and to what we're doing. But as you can see, like when we're talking about smart and autonomous systems, there are just so many different SMEs that you probably want to talk to within our center, whether it's ventilator experts, infusion pump experts, our digital health group. There's so many different things that lead into this. And so what we're really here to do is to hear what this collaborative community is doing, to take that information back, to get information from our SMEs. When we got approval to join, they said, we want to talk to you about it. And so one of the first things we need to do is go back and brief some of the OHTs, that's our review teams, on what we're doing, because they want to be involved and we want to bring their expertise into this group as well so that we can move forward. So I'll reiterate, we do want to see products. So after this, I'm looking forward to what we're going to focus on and what we can produce. I may have a little pressure from our center director from that. So, you know, we'll move that forward and I think that'll be great. We are very excited to be here today. And I thank Julian for including us in these presentations. Yeah, thank you.
I'm Chris Coburn. I guess I'm the second last speaker today. So just a few brief remarks at the end of a long day. But before I start, I want to recognize my colleague, Erin McKenna. Erin leads one of, at least in my mind, one of the most sophisticated collection of translational support programs in all of academia. And we'd love to have you all know more about it. And we work closely with Julian. So kind of interesting that we're in this room meeting today that was named for a CPA, named in honor of a CPA. And at least for me, it's a reminder that innovation and its application always involves a partnership that often binds together dissonant cultures, organizations, professions, and people. Congratulations to Dr. Goldman for envisioning this conference and its mission to knit together the broad innovation fabric with a recognition that the attention to all the threads in that fabric is so crucial if that is to stay woven together and not unravel. And so wonderful, after 20 years of path-breaking leadership, clinical technology investigators like Dr. Goldman finally have an enduring partner. From where we sit, it's hard to overstate the significance of the rise of ARPA-H. On top of the people, technology, cultural, and organizational breakthroughs delivered by the U.S. Department of Defense, one of the great contributions has been the design of systems of innovation. Some others have noted the 80th, I'm sure have noted the 80th anniversary today. And reflecting on that, the aperture of Vannevar Bush's vision of translation of technology, the support of science, now encompasses nearly every aspect of our society and our economy. DARPA emerged from that vision in 1958, ultimately becoming characterized by The Economist magazine as the agency that invented the modern world. Sometimes that's referred to, that sometimes it's quoted as shaped the modern world. And so now that model of innovation has arrived and is full-time in healthcare, just in time to embrace the work of Julian and peers like Nat Sims, who I spotted earlier, who's have been working in all these years, disrupting in isolation. Now we have an agency that brings this model in partnership with FDA, with CMS, and so many of the constituent parts that define healthcare in this period. So for me, at least, it's exciting to think about the agency and the Heilmeyer Catechism and how it will propel healthcare innovation by embracing innovators that have been acting for so long effectively on their own. So energizing to think about the future and the incalculable benefit that in planning this system of innovation squarely in healthcare will bring. And it's not to say that there hasn't been a record amount of innovation in the past, but in terms of an upward inflection point, it is truly a special time. And to me, twice in the last 2 weeks, this forward view was affirmed in this very room, again, named for our lovable former CFO and a CPA. Twice in this room, young faculty members, diverse faculty members were trained and equipped to expand their approach to innovation. whether they were from Mass General Hospital, from Brigham and Women's, McLean, Mass Eye, Spalding Rehabilitation, and other institutions around the U.S. and even from overseas, trained in this very room to try to follow the path of Dr. Goldman and Dr. SaAMS. And again, from our standpoint, we are in the cusp of a new era, and not so widely understood, I think, by the media and even the Congress, that this $2 billion a year, thinking about that year in and year out on the greatest gap in the innovation spectrum, is going to make an enormous amount of difference from our standpoint. You know, I personally think of the thousands, if not the tens of thousands of ideation sessions that wouldn't happen absent of that money. And I can say for sure, in just a very real way, talk about the detection and management of sepsis, a really hard problem that's been around for so long. You know, we have some of the top clinical faculty and investigators in the area. They teamed up, they worked on it in a really deep and meaningful way till about 5 years ago, where they could not find any other money, whether it was philanthropy or government support. Now we're in an active series of iterations with faculty at MIT, with Texas Instruments, with companies like Battelle, you know, seeking out new approaches. And that may never pan out, but those meetings wouldn't happen otherwise. So the fact that there are resources present to support things like the work that Dr. Goldman has done over all these years, we see it as a game-changing moment in healthcare innovation. And I hope everyone here views it the same way. For us, I'm here, I think, in part because of the work of our office. We're just a quick word about that. I think we're the largest in academia. We have about 140 people working to translate the work of our faculty to invest in it. We have all total about $500 million under management and investment funds. And all of that focused on the application of the work of the faculty. So what's so exciting is to think about this period that we are entering, where these threads can be woven together in a way they never have been before. So hats off to Dr. Goldman and all of you and this era that we're entering. So thank you for having me.